How you going, guys and girls, and welcome to the channel. So it's been a little while since I've done a video on this car, and I just thought I'd run you through some of the little boringer jobs in the process and how they've come about. So for the long-time viewers of this channel, you would know that this car's not going to be a show car or anything like that. So it's going to be very tidy and clean and just nice. So inside the boot previously it had already been stone guarded. Now a lot of it had sort of flaked off and had a little bit of surface rust here and there, but it was very solid. So I wire wheeled all the flaky bits off, buzzed it all down with 80 grit, brushed on some Worth rust converter, and I reapplied a little bit more stone guard, and it tidied it up, made it all look like it was all meant to be. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the finish. And that's the product that I used just there down in the corner. So in preparation of painting the firewall, I'm going to end up filling a few little sort of irregularities, stuff that I don't really want to see in the engine bay. Obviously this is going to be pretty stock standard looking, but I just want to spend a little bit of time sort of filling up some of these ugly spot welds. There's a few little ripples through the center of this part through here. Just sort of little bits and pieces that really can change the look of an engine bay if you just spend a little bit of time on it. So I'm going to go and scuff those areas up, put a little bit of filler in and start rubbing this back. So on with the filler work on the firewall. I ended up using the 3M Platinum Plus finishing glaze on this because there wasn't a whole lot of filler work that I needed to do. It was basically just tidying up a few little areas and yeah, just making it look a little bit more reasonable, I think. So as far as the prep work goes for this one, obviously 120 in Scotch-Brite, like the maroon Scotch-Brite, in and around the areas that I want to apply my filler in. Prep solid it all down and then wipe the filler in. And yeah, then basically knock the filler down with a little bit of 120, finish it off with 180. Go over the whole area with the 180 sponge pad, and then obviously clean it, mask it, and then it's ready for a little bit more epoxy. As far as blocks and stuff go for stuff like this, what I'm using at the moment is actually a little bit of 3mm Perspex, and basically just wrapping that up in the 3M blue paper, and I just find it gives you a nice firm enough base to actually sand something flat with, but also it curves a little bit so you can actually kind of follow the shape, so you're not really, you're not going to get something perfectly straight with it, but for something like an engine bay it's perfectly fine for, because it's still going to follow that shape and you're not going to radically change it or put your filler in and then find out that because of the general shape of the panel, it's not going to want to turn that flat. So just the nature of the sanding block that I'm using, it's going to contour to that shape rather than want to change it. Now for the level that this car is getting built to, it's probably not really necessary to go this way with it, but I just figured, to spend maybe an hour on it, tidy it up, make it look a little bit nicer while I can, because obviously there was a few little repaired areas on this firewall, so it would have needed a little bit of high build primer anyway. And I figured I'd just spend a little bit more time on it, tidy up a few areas that I thought might look a little bit daggy once the paint goes on. And believe me, once the paint goes on this, it will look absolutely mint. It's not going to look way different from factory, but it'll just be those slight little subtle changes that really make the difference. So that's the firewall all ready for another coat of epoxy primer. Filler work and the previous epoxy has been finished off with 180 and red Scotch-Brite or maroon Scotch-Brite, whatever you want to call it. I've given it a quick prep sole, and now I'm applying another coat of epoxy primer over the lot, just to seal off that filler work and the bare metal. Put a nice seal over everything, and when it comes time to prepping this for a little bit of primer surface there, it will actually prep up a lot nicer because it's got a nice consistent finish over the whole lot, rather than trying to patch primer or do anything silly like that. So for this, and because of the area that it's in, I'm actually using my epoxy primer a little bit more reduced than I normally would, and I'm putting it through a 1.3 spray gun. It doesn't need a whole lot of build. I'm not looking for build from my epoxy primer. I'm basically just looking to seal off the surface and give myself something to rub for that next stage. So as you can see from the reflection of the epoxy primer, the firewall is looking a lot more smoother and straighter. No sort of irregularities, no ripples, anything like that, it's all gone. Alright, so I've got the firewall in epoxy, got the doors off, and now I'm starting to sort of get into the nitty gritty of fitting these lower windscreen trims. Now, this car has had sections welded in because I didn't replace the cow panel on this one. This is still the original car, but it's been sectioned and it's had aftermarket bits welded in and handmade patches as well. So the fitment's a little bit off in a few places, mainly around this corner here, and there's a little bit of something going on just here, but I mean, I would almost chalk that up to being factory. But this here is definitely the worst bit. Now it's only maybe 2 mil, a little bit more than 1/16 of an inch. So I'm hoping maybe just add a little bit of filler just through this part through here, and I can shape that up, get it fitting the trim a lot nicer, and yeah, we'll put some primer on this. Now it goes without saying, obviously I did trial fit all these trims when I had the cow panel off and in the repair process. But one of the things that screwed me up was actually I didn't have some of the studs welded on, so I couldn't have the trim clips on. So this has kind of come as a little bit of a shock to me. In hindsight, probably should have had that all sorted out when this was all tacked in. And I probably could have built that up with a little bit of weld, but a little bit of filler will work in this case as well. There's not really much to say about this, but it's all pretty self-explanatory if you watch the video. But yeah, it is what it is. There you go. So I've pretty much gotten as close as I can get with the windscreen trims at the moment. So I've just spot primed them with epoxy primer. This is all past tense, of course, because I ended up stopping filming the day that I actually did all this, and now I've sort of just trial fitting everything back together again. On this side, it's okay. Could probably take a little bit out of here, and I'm not quite sure, but because basically from here to here, I've replaced a few studs, and all of that seems to fit pretty well now. But these ones here, they want to sort of sit up a little bit, and I'm not quite sure why that is. I've sort of compared a few other cars I've got on the property, and they're all sort of varying, where some will fit nice here and they'll stick up through this corner here, or they'll stick up here and they'll sit nice here. So I think it's more just a much of a muchness with the factory fitment of these stainless trims. This is the driver's side fitment at the moment. I ended up knocking a few of the pins off because I think if I just reposition them a little bit better, especially with the new trim clips, I might be able to get it to sit just a little bit nicer. But so far it's not looking too bad. Again, same issue as the passenger side, where it's sort of sticking up just a little bit here, but it's nice around the corner where I've repaired it, so go figure. I've also filled the spot welds across the front edge of the car panel, done a little bit of filler work through here in that joint, and yeah, obviously filled in where I've joined the car panel and where I've done all the dissection work. So this has been another one of my little jobs for this car, is to clean up and basically repaint the interior floor, just using the Rust-Oleum Rust Stop protective enamel paint. Just roll on, brush on. It seems to flatten out a little bit like KBS or 415, something like that. Looks pretty decent, I think. A bit better than what it was. Now you might not be able to see it in the video, but on the back corners around the back window, there's actually some pencil lines, and that's basically just where the stainless trim sat. So I needed to bring those corners down just a little bit. And yeah, there was a few little minor issues on the roof that just needed a quick little swipe in. Blocked the whole thing down with 180. And yeah, mask off, clean, and then put on a few coats of primer surfacer. Now that primer is the Carmaster GP 2-pack primer filler, so CP8550. That's the product number, and I find this one to be really good. It leaves a nice sort of surface if you apply it right. Flattens off really nice. You can thin it down, use it the wet on wet. Yeah, it does it all for me, so that's the one I like to use. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good to use product, good price, easy to use, simple. So there's a little bit more reworking of those car panel trims, and I did get them fitting a lot nicer in the end. And on to another little job. So re-prepping the door jambs, so giving them a nice buzz with 120, a little bit of 180 here and there. Re-epoxying them, and basically just so they have a nice fresh coat of epoxy on them, and yeah, they're ready for filler work. And basically the reason why I did that is because there was a few burn marks, a few chips and scratches, that kind of thing, just from aligning the panels and whatnot. So now we're back onto the car panel. There's a little bit of filler work on the dash side of things. I did put seam sealer in around the front joint where it meets the engine bay. And yeah, a few coats of primer surface. Looks pretty good now, I think. Really happy with it. So earlier on in the piece on this car, I actually fitted 2 full seal panels on this one. So I had some folded up out of 1.6, much like how I did on my HZ in another video. And basically there was just a few little ripples on the face of the seal panel that I wanted to tidy up. It was really tidy underneath, where I've done my plug welds and stuff, so that didn't need any filler. Just needed a little bit of a tidy up, and you know, I hate looking at cars and seeing that they've got little ripples or little dents, like what you can see, those little low spots. So that's what you would have seen if I'd just left it. And yeah, I didn't want to see that once the car's painted, so put a little bit of filler in it, block it down, really easy, simple, looks good. Carried on with a little bit more filler work on the beaver panel. That wasn't quite all there, so yeah, now that's done. So there really is a lot of everything in this video, so here you go, a little bit of blasting and some epoxy work on some bits and pieces. And of course, while there was epoxy in the gun and the back doors were in the shed, I had a few little holes that I needed to drill up for the door trim, that kind of stuff. And yeah, did them, they come up pretty nice. So we're all prepped up for a little bit of primer surface in the boot and across the beaver panel. Obviously there's a little bit of filler work to do in there, so that needed a bit of a hit. Same again on the face of those seals and a little bit on that inner dog leg. Because there's a bit of filler work in there, I wanted to put a little bit of primer filler just over the top of them, not a whole lot, just to sort of pick up anything I might have missed. Something, you know, really minor, wasn't a whole lot, so didn't need a whole lot on it. Now the part that we've all been waiting for, putting a little bit of colour on the mating surfaces where the door hinges go, and also the door hinges themselves. So this will be the colour of the car. It's the Sunburst Gold factory HQ colour. This actually covered really well in the Protect Paraglaze system, so I was really happy with that. Car Master HS Clear. I thinned that out, I think around 25%, just because I didn't want a whole lot of build on these hinges and on obviously the door frame surfaces where they mount to. And basically the reason why I do that is because I want to get a nice coat of paint behind the hinges, and I find it's easy to paint these areas first, pop the hinges on the shell, line the doors up once again, and then take the doors off the door hinges but leave the door hinges still on the shell. So it makes the process a little bit easier. When it comes time to paint the rest of the door jambs, I'll simply just scuff up around those door hinges, mask them off, and then paint the rest of the door jamb. It also makes the refitting of the doors a little bit more straightforward, because you're taking away a lot of the adjustments. So basically, when you have the adjustment on the door hinges, you've got up, down, back and forward. But on the doors themselves, to the hinges, you have sort of just top and bottom adjustments, so in and out. And when you're dealing with all of them all at once on painted door jambs, it becomes really hard. So yeah, it makes the process a little bit easier once the rest of the door jamb and inside the doors is all painted. But as you can see, we've got everything fitted up. It's all opening and closing nice. Everything's all sweet, happy with it. Those doors are ready to come off now, just hasn't happened yet in this video. But basically what will happen in the next video will be getting the engine bay, the door jambs, the boot jamb, all ready for paint, and we'll be putting the paint on those areas as well. And I'll go a little bit more deeper in the process, just because it's a little bit more of a condensed sort of video, that one. So make sure you stick around for that, keep an eye out, and see you then. Cheers.